because my hair is up. You can tell it's a serious video. Hey everyone, it's Hannah. If you're new to my channel, I am a upcoming rising sophomore at Yale University. Yeah, today I wanted to talk about what it is like being an FGLI student at an Ivy League college. What is FGLI? FGLI means first gen low income, and it's just an abbreviation for that term. And when you're a first generation low income student at an Ivy League college, there is a lot of different circumstances that you have to navigate that other college students don't have to navigate, and you're at like one of the top universities, so it's a lot of stress, but it's definitely an amazing opportunity to be at a college like Yale. I myself am a first gen low income student, and one second. There's also a book that I would recommend reading. I haven't read it yet, but I'm about to, called The Privileged Poor, and it's by Anthony Abraham Jack. It's called The Privileged Poor, How Elite Colleges Are Failing Disadvantaged Students. So he actually came to talk at one of the scholarships that I have, like my main scholarship I'll talk about later. It was really amazing to hear about this book and to hear about his perspective, what he's lived through, and kind of be able to relate like so much. In the summary of this, it literally says Ivy League looks different than it used to, and it used to be like all rich white males, but now they're trying to have so much diversity economically, socially. Yeah, let's just talk about what first gen low income really means first. We use this term in the United States, which is kind of confusing because when you say you're first generation, it usually means like a first generation citizen, like your parents were immigrants and you were born here, so you're the first citizen of the country, and that's what I always like thought it meant. But first generation in university terms, what Yale and many other universities say is first generation is, or at least in the United States, I'm not sure if this is different in other countries. First generation means that your parents did not attend a 4-year university. And so one of my parents did not go to college and one of my other parents went to a community college. I'm still counted as a first generation student because of how different the university system is than a community college. And so if your parents didn't go to 4-year university, you're a first generation student. And low income, I don't know the exact income amount, but if your combined household income is under a certain amount, and I think it might be different for each university, they consider you a low income student. And I think it's also different for each scholarship. There's a threshold amount, and if your combined household income is under that threshold, then you're considered low income. And if you're both of those, you're FGLI. This video, I could really just talk about my experiences, but I did ask some questions on my Instagram about like what people's experience has been as an FGLI student. So I'm just going to read the short answers I got. Someone said that they're not in college yet, but it makes them feel like they're at a disadvantage going to an Ivy League. Definitely, that's a big like feeling that people have when you're FGLI. I felt imposter syndrome my first year because my family didn't come from my major field. It's exciting and stressful and sometimes lonely, messy and good. It's a whole bunch, to be honest. Yes. One other person said not making use of resources because I wasn't used to having them before, and imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a huge one. Just looking up like what imposter syndrome is, it's a psychological pattern in which one doubts one's accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. So the kind of longer elaboration I got on this question from someone was that Yale does a great job at there's some issues with the student income contribution, which is something that Yale does, and I think a lot of schools giving a set amount that the student has to contribute themselves to their education. So like getting a job on campus and working while going to school. And I think that's especially hard for an FGLI student. And I feel like, yes, like that is a generalization for a lot of people. Like maybe other people can be way more adaptable who are FGLI students, but I'd say that in general it's a pretty big struggle. This person also said that there's not a lot of academic support, which I'd say is true. And other students were better prepared for a high-pressure institution in high school than a lot of FGLI students were. Yeah, also the people, though, are super empathetic. I'd say the people who at Yale who are, like, at a higher economic standing than those of low income aren't really, like, braggy about it or, like, anything like that. But I would say that there's, like, a lot of shock factor from being an FGLI student and then going and meeting all these people who, it's just really weird. It's just really shocking. People will never try to, like, make you feel bad about your economic standing, like, because I feel like that's, like, kind of how the movies portray it maybe sometimes. People, like, nonchalantly are just, like talking about their vacations, talking about, like, I don't know, buying things that I wouldn't be able to buy, and just stuff like that. Just, like, nonchalant. And you're, like, you expect it, but, like, it's weird to actually hear, like, oh, you did what? Huh? That's my dog. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Yale's resources first. Now that I kind of talked about what other people told me, I'm going to go talk about my experience more because that's what I know the best. So Yale's resources are amazing. First of all, to a lot more people than I've expected, they gave a startup fund, which is like helping you kind of get settled into Yale. They would give you some money for, like, if you're not from the Northeast, you can spend it on, like, winter clothes that you probably wouldn't need at home, stuff like that. And, like, in the beginning of the year when you're moving in, like, the first week or so, the dining halls aren't open for like food and stuff like that. So that's really amazing that they do that. So their financial aid for FGLI students, I would say, is also so good. In my experience, they really take into account your financial circumstances and what you will actually be able to pay so you can come to the school. But if you go on their website, they're like, if your parents make less than this, you will not have to pay anything. Like, your parents will not have to pay anything for going to college. Yeah, something like that. I could, like, put the screenshot of it right here. But yeah, they don't give academic scholarships. They don't give like the merit scholarships. The only scholarship is like the financial aid they give you, which is really good. It's just solely based on your income, your household income, and yeah, your finances. So outside scholarships. In the United States, there is an abundance of outside scholarships, third-party scholarships, whatever you'd like to call them, that don't come from the school, but come from other resources, and you have to apply to them. Some are attached to the common application, which is really nice. The one that I have was attached to the common application. I'm not sure how outside scholarships work in other countries, but I know if you're in the United States, look at those outside scholarships, and especially if you're an FGLI student, because there are a lot. The scholarship that I have is called the Cook College Scholarship, and it's from the Jack Kent Cook Foundation, and I will link my video above wherever that is. They have a college students weekend. Whoever got the scholarship goes to, like, DC for a weekend in the summer and gets to meet everyone else and kind of have, like, some training on, like, how to approach the institution that you're going into. So that was the first real time that I would say I was being prepared to go to Yale and be being prepared for like the financial situation that I was getting myself into. But Jack Kent Cooke has an amazing scholarship. It's a last dollar scholarship, so basically up to a certain amount. Like anything that Yale has left over for me to pay, Jack Kent Cooke would take care of up to a certain amount. Yeah, if you're at a community college, you're looking to transfer to a university, they have scholarship for those people. They have scholarship for people who are in high school, who are trying to get into a high school, like a private high school that you have to pay for. And they also have a scholarship for graduate students. So I really love them. They're amazing. There's also scholarships, big scholarships for like FGLI students. I would also say is the Gates Scholarship, and the Quest Bridge, where they match you with a school. Yeah, and just to touch again on like how it is socially, I wouldn't say it's a big issue. Like when you're an FGLI student at Yale, for me, I'm speaking from my circumstances, it is harder since you're not used to, it's harder for me because I'm not used to having all these resources and don't know how to utilize them. Still, like, high-key don't know how to navigate college that well. I'm still learning. How do I put this? So, like, knowing that and knowing that, like, other people are more prepared than I am is kind of intimidating. In addition to just being at Yale itself is pretty intimidating. Just the fact that, like, I have to know that, like, I have to try harder to do well, and that's something that, like, I have to accept. I'd say that's a pretty hard thing socially, like, when you're seeing other people just, like, seemingly, like, do things so easily. I'd say that's a hard thing to deal with, knowing that, like, you have to try harder to be where you're at and, like, to be at, like, this higher level. And I'd say that's something that I just have to accept, but I'd say in the end, like, definitely every, like, step of it has been worth it, and I am glad that I have the opportunity to try hard. The last thing I would say is that coming to Yale is honestly the biggest culture shock that I've ever had. I recently went to Morocco, and that was nothing compared to being at Yale. I, like, had never been out of the country before. Going to Africa without my family was, I was expecting it to be like a huge culture shock, but compared to Yale, no, I did not. It wasn't a culture shock for me. It was kind of just like, I don't know. That's kind of the way that I'd put that. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. If you have any other questions, what it's like being an FGLI student at Yale, and put them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer every single one of them. I probably will answer every single one of them. I am coming at you with more videos soon, so see y'all around.